Right, hello guys, and welcome to today's video. And today's video is going to be all about the new buffed FAL in Modern Warfare, and specifically this class up today is going to be a FAL Warzone best class setup. And I'm not going to keep you too long. Here it is on your screen right now. So the muzzle is the compensator, the barrel is the XRK marksman, the optic is the monocle reflex sight, the underbarrel is the commando foregrip, and finally the ammunition is the 30 round mags. That's all you need to make this incredible FAL best class setup for Warzone. And the reason I'm doing the FAL is because this gun received an unbelievable buff to this gun. Like, I could not believe that they buffed this gun again, but the buff they did to this thing has made it absolutely incredible in Warzone. And if you're good with your trigger finger, if you know how to use this gun appropriately, you're going to do some serious damage with this class setup. But I'll also share my MP5 because this gun did receive a nerf, but honestly guys, this gun is pretty much the same after the update. But here it is anyway. The monolithic integral suppressor, the TAC laser, the Forge TAC ultralight, the Merc foregrip, and the 45 round mags. And that's my MP5 class setup as my secondary for my overall FAL best class setup for Warzone. And today's gameplay you're going to be seeing in the background will be a 28 kill plunder gameplay, which I'm doing plunder now from now on, as it gives me a better chance to showcase the weapon in different situations such as short range, medium range, and long range, and overall it gives a lot more entertainment for you guys, some more gunfights to see, because I'm sure you guys don't want to sit there and watch me get like a couple of kills in solos and maybe get 10 kills in a win, because it's pretty boring. I'm gonna be honest, it's like one kill every 2-3 minutes. I'm sure you guys want to see a kill every like 20 seconds or so. So yeah, that's what you'll be seeing in the background. And not only that, I'll be explaining why I use this gun, like why I use the attachments I do on this gun, and what makes this setup the best class setup for the FAL. So yeah, let's get right into today's gameplay. Right, hello guys, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, as you can probably guess by the intro clip showcasing the class setup for today's video is going to be all about the FAL. And why the FAL? Well, the FAL managed to pick up a buff in the most recent update, and what a buff it was. For some reason they decided this gun was worthy of a buff again, and it's just made the gun even better. And now I believe this might be the best gun in Warzone. And I'm going to discuss that in today's video, but today's gameplay, what you're seeing in the background, is a 28 kill plunder gameplay. That's right, 28 kill plunder gameplay with my FAL best class setup that you saw in the intro. And the reason I'm going to be using plunder from now on is because it gives me a better chance of showcasing the weapon in greater detail. You'll get to see more short range gunfights, medium range, long range. It's just overall I get to showcase the gun more often, and there'll be a lot more gunfights for you to see, to showcase in the different situations in which the FAL works and how it works in Warzone. Because if I play a solo, I get 10 to 15 kills. They're very spaced out. Solo is a very slow-paced game style, you know. If you've played solo, you understand it's quite campy. There's not a lot of action, and I don't want you guys to be sat there bored for 20 minutes watching a class setup video like this. So I'm using plunder. Again, this is a 28 kill plunder game, which gives me the chance to showcase how good the FAL is in Warzone now. So yeah, let's get right into it. Let's talk about my class setup and why I'm using the attachments that I am using on this FAL. Because yes, you can probably notice, my FAL looks a lot different to other people's. Now, let me explain that. I can explain the reason for my attachments, the combination I've meant with here. And yeah, so let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to start off with is the muzzle. I have picked a muzzle for the FAL, and the reason I have chosen this muzzle is because this muzzle here, which is the compensator, reduces vertical recoil. Now, if you've used the FAL, you'll understand that this gun shoots up a little bit once you start. If you've got a good trigger finger, because that's one thing we'll be discussing in today's video as well, is your trigger finger. Okay, you've got to have a good trigger finger to be able to fully capitalize on how good the FAL is. So with the muzzle, I went with the compensator. The reason for this is vertical recoil. It says recoil control. You probably understand what recoil, but the recoil it massively negates is vertical recoil, and it is the best attachment in the game. Maybe the Merc foregrip is just as good, but I believe the compensator is the best attachment for vertical recoil. And plus, in the grip section, well, the underbarrel section, I did go with a different attachment, but I'll explain that in a second. But yeah, so for the muzzle, I went for the compensator. Reducing the vertical recoil makes it a lot more easier and a lot more better for me to use my trigger finger at, I'd say, a lot longer distances. Instead of being able to trigger finger at close range, when we get to the medium and long range, and you'll see in the background in this gameplay, there's a lot of times where I'm shooting at people like 50 meters, 100 meters plus, and I'm still using my trigger finger because I will be able to do that because the compensator is helping reduce the vertical recoil, making it less likely my gun goes shooting up into the sky, and I can control the recoil a lot easier. So yeah, Went with the compensator. The cons are the aim down sight speed and the aiming stability. Now the aim down sight speed I'm not going to be worrying about on this class setup, because in Warzone I do believe positioning is everything, and there's not really a need for having like great speed on this gun, especially as you saw right there, my secondary is the MP5. So the MP5 is going to do all my speed and mobility for me in those close range situations. But most of the time I am wanting to use the FAL, because the FAL is extremely good at close range, and I'll explain that in a second. So yeah, went with the compensator. Some of you might think the monolithic suppressor, but for those reasons, the vertical recoil, needing to reduce it, I have went with the compensator. Next up, the barrel. Now with this gun already has great damage, but having an even greater damage range is massively helpful. So I went with the XRK Marksman, because what this does is the damage range, the bullet velocity, and the recoil control. 3 things that are really important on this gun, and this being able to boost all 3 of these things is going to help even more with this FAL. So with damage range, obviously you get better damage at range, and as you can see, situations like this, having a better damage range there did help me put that guy down. Now yes, I got shot in the back, but that is what it is. Little Timmy was camping in the corner. What can I do? And yeah, so having better damage is going to help me to do things like that in situations like that. Next up, bullet velocity. Now what this does is this allows me to shoot the gun pretty much on target without having to compensate for the distance I am shooting at. You'll see there are situations where people are flying in this game, and I am pretty much sniping them essentially. Like I am shooting directly at them and not having to compensate too much for how fast they're moving or anything like that, because of this bullet velocity increase. And then finally, recoil control. Again, this helps reduce the vertical recoil, and it is massively important for your trigger finger to have better vertical recoil control. So yeah, that's all the bonuses. The negatives of this are the aim down sight speed and the movement speed. Now the thing is, again, I'm not too worried about the mobility on this. Again, I've got the MP5 as my secondary for those close quarter situations where I do need to be a little bit more mobile. Yes, the FAL will kill like pretty close, or I believe actually quicker than the MP5 up close, but the mobility of the FAL isn't as good as the MP5, and there are situations where you want to be dodging bullets up close more than you want to be putting down bullets up close, if you get what I'm saying there. But yeah, I use the XRK for the Marksman for my barrel. Good attachment, definitely prefer that on. And yeah, next up, going to be using the Optic, and an Optic I've chosen, well, you guys will notice that if you've watched my video on the FAL class setup I made for multiplayer when it received its first buff, and the first buff it received, by the way, was a ADS buff, a very slight one, but it was a buff, and I did use it in multiplayer, and the thing shredded. And when I was using that gun, I put on the monocle reflex sight, and again, I went back to the monocle reflex sight. Now, some of you will probably be saying, why aren't I using the VLK 3.0x optic? Because this optic is massively used in Warzone right now, because that optic reduces recoil both vertically and horizontally as it's been tested. And I did try this sight out. I do like the sight, but I do believe it's just a little bit too slow for my liking in the close quarter situations, because again, I do want to be trying to use the FAL in the close quarter situations, because the damage it puts out is extremely good. And you'll probably see there are situations, because this gun, flat out, is pretty much going to kill between 4 to 6 shots in Warzone. 4 to 6 shots. And I'm not even kidding. Try it for yourselves. 4 to 6 shots. You can even get 3-shot kills, which I have had before, because I believe if you land like a few headshots in there, you can get a 3-shot kill in Warzone, which is just unbelievable. Obviously that depends on how plated the enemy is, but most of the time enemies are going to be a full health bar on 2 plates. Some will have 3 plates, so you will have to put in an extra 50 damage. But it is unbelievable that you can get a 3-shot kill with this gun with how fast it fires, depending on your trigger finger obviously. But yeah, so back to the point, monocle reflex sight, I do believe it's just more mobile enough for me, whilst also having a bit of zoom to it to allow me to get those kills at the longer ranges. But personally, that's what I went with. I do feel like you could use any sight here, it's up to you, but do bear in mind that there are sights here that will be better at longer range, but will be slower than the sight I'm using. So give it a shot, find a sight that works for you, but personally, monocle reflex sight works quite well for me. So yeah, next attachment we're using is the underbarrel. Now most people would probably assume I went with the Merc foregrip for the vertical recoil, but for this I actually went for the Commando foregrip, because I believe the compensator does such a good job on the vertical recoil, as well as the XRK Marksman dealing with the vertical recoil as well. I don't believe it's necessary to even reduce the vertical recoil even more. At this point it's already reduced to pretty much nothing already. So I use the Commando foregrip because what this does is reduce the horizontal recoil, not the vertical recoil, the horizontal recoil. And what recoil is that? That's the side to side recoil. And that's recoil, which I've always said is pretty much impossible to control. If it shoots up and to the right, then yes, you can pull it back down to the left. But when it goes side to side so often, there's nothing you can do about that. And to stop that, I use the commando foregrip, and as well as that, it has the aiming stability. And what does this mean? This means the gun's going to have less sway. And what the sway is the gun moving by itself. So when you aim down sight and don't move the controller at all, your gun will sway a little bit. You'll probably notice that. It goes on like side to side a little bit. And being able to hit your first shot is a lot harder if the sway of the gun is quite high. So reducing that with the commando foregrip will make it easier to put those first shots on target. And ultimately, you know, first of all, when you put your shot out first and hit the enemy first, with this gun especially, with the amount of damage it does, you're going to be damaging them, you're going to be making them flinch. It's just going to make it a lot harder for them to even possibly come back and win the gunfight. Again, with the amount of damage you're putting out and the amount of flinch you're giving them, they're going to have next to no chance. So having first shot, having crisp accuracy is important. So the commando foregrip is what I went with. And yes, the con for that is movement speed, but again, like I've said throughout this entire video, I'm not too bothered about the mobility and how fast this gun is, because that is not what this gun's about. This gun is about putting down damage and making sure you're putting the damage out whilst being accurate and being quick on your trigger, obviously. And then finally, ammunition. Now this I messed around with a bit. I did feel like I could possibly get away with not using this ammunition round, but I decided with it anyway, just because I do like to kill multiple enemies, and in situations where, say, you're playing trios and quads, maybe even duos, and you need to put out a few shots and possibly kill multiple enemies at once, having 30 round mags is a lot better than having 20 round mags. Now it's not incredible, okay, it's only a 10 round mag difference, you'd say, but in my opinion, I do feel like that helps out in a lot of situations where enemies will come charging you. As you can see there's a lot of enemies on my screen right now. There's like 4 or 5 people landing in and around me, and having those bullets spare is helping me massively to put out damage at range and up close and just deal with multiple people at once. Yes, again, aim down sight speed and movement speed are a penalty of using this mag, but it's not a big problem. You can see in this gameplay, I'm not having a problem aiming down sight too quick, and I do believe that it's actually helped because of that buff a few updates ago with the aim down sight buff to the FAL. And here's the point I was talking about, bullet velocity. I'm pretty much hitting this guy straight where I'm shooting. Like, I'm not having to compensate for anything at all. The distance I was shooting him at, it was quite far, and he was moving slightly, but it wasn't a problem. I did not have to compensate for anything. I just shot directly at him. Yes, I did tap fire a little bit just to keep my shot more accurate, and this is what another thing I'll be talking about with the FAL is when to use your trigger finger and when to be more, how would I put it, more careful with your like trigger at certain distances. But yeah, the final attachment is the 30 round mag, just so I can have enough bullets to deal with multiple enemies at once. And I feel like this here, all these attachments here, is what makes this class setup the best class setup for the FAL. All this paired together is great for your damage, your vertical recoil, your horizontal recoil, and just overall being on target, putting out the damage, and just dealing with multiple enemies at once. And that's what I believe makes this class setup the best class setup for the FAL. I'm not going to speak about the MP5 too much, but the MP5 did receive a nerf. But honestly guys, there is next to no difference. The MP5 is still dominant, and I am using it on this class just because in those close quarter situations, first of all, I may run out of bullets on the FAL and I might want to quickly switch to the MP5 instead of trying to reload the FAL. But not only that, up close, the MP5 is more mobile and will probably help out in most situations. As you can see, it helps me aim down sight quickly when I needed to, helps me be more mobile. But on that class, I've got monolithic integral suppressor, attack laser, forge tag ultralight, and a 45 round mag and a Merc foregrip. Honestly, if you guys were using the MP5 pre-patch and you've messed around with your attachments, honestly, you could probably use whatever attachments you want. The only thing I'd say is possibly avoid using the no stock. The no stock attachment on the MP5 isn't that great anymore, but personally, the only thing I changed was the forge tag ultralight, which is the aim walking movement speed on my MP5. But other than that, this is the same MP5 I use pre-patch, but just with the forge tag ultralight instead of the no stock attachment. But here is a situation where the FAL is pretty good. If you can get your sights down first and you can be the first person aiming down sight and shooting first, they've got no chance up close. Again, I killed him, what, 3 to 4 shots there? Absolutely no chance whatsoever. And yes, obviously he was flying in, but even if he had his gun up and everything, I feel like he'd have no chance. This gun kills quicker than the Graw. That's how good the FAL is now. That's why I believe this is the best gun in Warzone. If you know how to use it, if you know how to shoot at range and keeping your like accuracy at 100%, being precise and putting the damage onto your opponent, people with the Graw have next to no chance. This is a very high skilled weapon in my opinion. If you're someone struggling to find a gun that to outdo the Graw, but you're a very good player. The FAL is your gun. This gun requires a lot of skill to do well and get those kills at distance and up close. And this all boils down to different things. So I'm going to discuss the trigger finger, okay? A lot of people think all you need to do with the FAL is just trigger finger. Every situation, trigger finger, trigger finger. Shoot the gun as fast as possible. And that's where you're wrong, okay? In short to medium range with this class setup, you will be able to trigger finger quite easily. You know, it won't be hard to control the recoil whilst also shooting the trigger as quick as possible. But at longer ranges, you do need to be a little bit more precise. You do need to be more lenient with your trigger. You need to shoot, I'd say, like 1 round every 2 seconds or so, or 3 seconds or so, instead of just bashing the trigger so much. At distance, you do have to basically use it like a sniper, but think of it as a sniper that can fire every second. That's how I'd say you'd use the FAL at distance. Because at distance, you don't want to be shooting as fast as possible, because ultimately, you're just not going to be hitting the target. You're going to be missing a lot, and you're going to be wondering, why am I dying in these situations, whilst that person is going to be using the Graw, which is an easier gun to use, but it's not a better gun to use than the FAL. So that's what this FAL is. The FAL, in my opinion, is a very high skill weapon that if you're a good player at this game, and know how to use your trigger finger correctly, and are very accurate, and know how to put the damage out at range, and know what situations you should be trigger fingering and not trigger fingering at, you will have a blast with this gun, because it is, in my opinion, honestly, it is massively overpowered. And you're seeing in this gameplay, I'm just dealing so much damage. I'm killing people up close, medium range, and long range, because I know how to use this gun. I know what ranges I can and can't trigger finger with this. I know what situations are going to be more suitable for my MP5 and what situations are going to be more suitable for my FAL. And yeah, so this class setup is insane. This gun in general is insane. They've over buffed it in my opinion, but I'm not too bothered. I'm glad there's something that competes with the Graw now. But I'll talk about what the buff was as well. So the buff, obviously, this patch was they said in the patch notes, the only thing they stated was that the gun had a potential one-shot headshot in close quarters. But what they actually did as well was buff the upper chest. That's right, upper chest. Well, not upper chest. Upper torso and upper chest. Not the just upper chest. The upper torso as well. All you need to do is hit the upper torso and you're getting the new damage range values, which I believe is like 70 odd. It's somewhere around 70. I think it's like 78 or something. Which means in core multiplayer, this gun kills in 2 shots. And in Warzone, expect this gun to be a 4 to 6 shot kill. All you got to make sure you're doing is not hitting the limbs too much. But yeah, that's the gameplay. I hope you enjoyed today's class setup, an absolutely insane class setup with the new FAL, the new buffed FAL. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe notifications on. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.